Jesus, going live in 8 hours.
No, no.
Is it counting down or is
It's counting. It should be counting down.
it's counting down 8 hours?
So you're supposed to take counting it down since the beginning.
But what if this life has started?
It's not showing that you're alive. I just say me when I got that problem. Oh. Yeah.
You go pay me if I stay back and no be live with you.
Then the only thing is it that I'm showing with this video. The only thing is um, can we look for a banner to first put? So let me go to YouTube.
Coming away.
Um, Little Jesus Christ. I don't dey sweat. See, it's showing end screen, which means that you are alive. You are actually live.
Jesus.
When they laugh, I'm no laugh.
For all praise, she's like, okay, I'm right back. And we have one viewer. You're welcome. Please bear with us. We'd like to wait for at least 2 or 3 persons before we start. All right. So, as you all know, this live is brought to you by Dolu Properties. Yeah, we sell verified landed properties here in the city of Port Harcourt. So whether you're in Port Harcourt, you're in any other place in Nigeria or even abroad, Dolu Properties is the one for you. So let's just wait for a bit for others to join in. Yeah. So we have another person. We have another person. That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. So we're going to be starting at exactly 7:04. We will not wait for any other person once we have started. Okay. I'm seeing some people. Okay. Just got a notification. All right. So once again, you're welcome to this live stream. And we've been thinking about doing this for a while because every week we get people who come to us and they have one story or the other to tell about real estate. Sometimes you go out for marketing and then you hear stories like, oh, no, I don't trust real estate people, or this one happened, that one happened. So we decided to do this live stream to discuss one of the problems that we are constantly faced with. Sometimes people come to the office and they say things like, ah, I wish I checked this property before buying, and they're having trust issues. And some of them spend millions of naira, but still, up to today, they cannot even locate their properties. And the painful part about all these things is that these mistakes could actually have been avoided. It's not as if they were non-avoidable. They were mistakes that happened that could have been avoided. So in today's live session, we are going to be talking about something very crucial. If you can see on my screen, the topic is 5 land buying traps in Port Harcourt and no one talks about. Yes. So whether we're going to be discussing this in details, whether you're in Port Harcourt, anywhere in Nigeria, or you're not even in Port Harcourt, you're abroad, this session is for you. Today, we're not here to sell any propaganda or do any promotional stuff. No, we just want to pass knowledge to you that we think will be very helpful to you as a buyer so that you not make certain mistakes. Once again, my name is 16 from Dolu Properties, and to the glory of God, we've helped countless of people, over hundreds of people, to get secure properties that they go home with peace of mind. They are not worried about anything, verified documents, and we've been doing this for about 4 years now. So by the time we're done with this live stream, you know how to spot a risky deal before committing your money. So I'm seeing some people joining and leaving back. So I think there's an issue with the network. So while we wait for them, before we go fully into the discussion for today, I'd like to know in the comment section, have you ever had a close call with any of these scammers? Like you've almost bought a property that was fishy or was suspicious. I'd like to know in the comment section so that we can use that to buy time while we wait for other people. So just type yes if you have experienced that before and no if you haven't. Comments. Okay. Pardon me if I'm a bit. Okay, we've gotten some people join us back. So, like I said, if you're just joining us, we're going to be talking about 5 land buying traps that no one will tell you about. And I asked people who were here already if they've ever experienced something like this, if they've ever had a close call or they know someone who has experienced such a thing before, to say whether they have in the comments. Okay, no, I haven't. Yes. So they were forcing me to pay for land when the documents were all photocopies. That's very funny. Yes, they are very, very funny stories when it comes to all this land and documents and all these issues. But hopefully, by the end of this session, we'll know how to be very careful and to do the right thing. So without further ado, let's go into the very first mistake that people tend to make. You think that with all the videos that have been going on, people are already wise and smart, but still, this first one is a mistake that people still fall trap to. And that mistake is paying without proper verification. You see, this might sound like people still do that, but yes, there are people that still fall prey to scammers because they did not verify properly before buying a land. You see someone that will say, how do you know this land is legit? You say, my friend told me about it. It's my mommy's uncle's brother, sister. 2025. You're bringing out hard-earned millions and you cannot verify your property. No verification, no proper survey, nothing. It's crazy. It's crazy. I heard a story of someone who bought a property. That was like last 2 weeks, or it's not been long I heard that story. Someone bought a property. Everything was looking good, decent. I know scammers can even go as far as taking for an inspection. They'll just take you to a property that does not belong to them. There are lengths these people can go to. So yeah, the person went through all these. And then only for them to check the coordinates in the survey plan. Because when you check your survey plan, you see coordinates. And then he gave it to someone else to look out for the survey plan, the documents that he had been given. And he found out that the coordinates on that survey plan were for a different location. Like, just imagine this thing. You paid for a property, they gave you your survey plan, all those documents and all those things. And then you know, say, okay, some people, they buy properties, they give them documents, they just gonna drop it one side. So this guy was Was a good guy. He decided to take the survey plan he had been given and check the coordinates that were on it, and he found out that it was in a totally different location. And now you have given them money, so you have given them money. So they are now going through all this back and forth of give me back my money, what's happening? This one is explaining, and all those things could have been avoided. So before you pay for any property, these are things you should look out for. We've said it time and time again, but I'll still repeat it. Number one is your registered survey plan. Registered survey plan. Ask, go to lawyers, ask anybody to verify for you. Sometimes when you're even doing these things, you shouldn't go alone. Go with professionals so that for things that you do not know, another person can give you clarity on. The second one is your deed of conveyance. The document that says, Dolu Properties or whichever property this is handing over ownership to this person. You're conveying ownership to the party who is buying for it. And lastly, letter of allocation. Your letter of allocation is what will state that this property belongs to you and nobody else. Because some people will give you deed of conveyance, but what are they conveying to you? What are they passing on to you? So these three things are very important. And if these things are missing, you should not proceed. That's one thing I like about Oakridge City. You see, Oakridge City at Omagwa that is being developed by Dolu Properties has these three documents. It's not something to hide. When you see maybe you're buying from a realtor or a real estate company and they start doing magu magu, that's a red flag. A red flag that you should run away from. So you should not listen to any stories, no waiting game, nothing. Before you proceed to pay, check out for these things. So, like I said, number one, having quite okay, yes. Can you remind me what I said in number one? I'm actually looking for the banner. Yes, mistake number one, paying without proper verification. That's a very bad mistake. Are there any stories you've heard or you've seen? You can type that in the comment section. Or if you have any question about verification of these documents, let me know so that during the course of this live stream, I'll handle all those questions. Now, over to the second mistake. You know, sometimes one thing about land is that people come with to you with the idea of buy cheap now, it will sell. We do that too. We do that too. But when you're buying cheap land, you should choose, you should be careful that it is a strategic buy. Let me not bite my tongue. That is a strategic buy and not just your emotions playing games on you. So the second mistake people make is choosing cheap over strategic. You have to be very careful. I think my network went off for a minute. Yes, you have to be very, very careful unless you regret it. So before we go into details, I have a story. So I know someone who bought a promo land. The story is still funny to me. He bought a promo land, and the thing is that he didn't go for an inspection. So he just heard that there's this property that is going for, I don't know how much it was then, but it was very cheap compared to what other ones were going for. So now he couldn't come for an inspection. I think that time he was in Ibadan, so he bought this land. So years later, he was coming as far, okay, I can now see my property, maybe sell it and stuff like that. And he went there and there was no road leading to that place. There was no civilization self. There was no, you know, all these properties that you go to, all these lands that you go to that are not just in the village, they are like inside that. If you are using bike, you spend like 1 hour on the bike just going inside. That's like you're on a journey of no return. That's how bad it was. And then you ask this guy, why did you buy it now? Why did you do this? Because at that point, you could not even resell because only if you're planning to go and scam another person, which is not good. So he could not resell, he could not get his return on investment. That was just a very bad thing that he had done. So his land became dead capital. That's what it became. So it's very important that while you're buying cheap land, you also weigh its potential. Does this place look like where we go up in certain years? Is there any level of development coming? You can know when level of development is coming. You go to places and you see maybe they are building a new company or an industry just moved there or they are working on the roads. There are signs you should look out for. Or a church is there, people are doing poetry there. At least there's life. Do you get? There's life in those areas. You don't go for somewhere that is cheap just because it's cheap. So you have to always weigh the price against potential. Don't just go because it's cheap. Yeah. So, and I wrote something down. I said, that's why I always tell people look beyond the price tag, think about growth and accessibility. That's very important. Just I'll use Oakridge City as an example again. Oakridge City is currently going for 3 million, which is quite fair compared to other properties at Omagwa where it's located. But there are things that you see and you know that okay, I'm actually buying into something that would actually yield me a lot of money. There's the NDDC, NDDC accommodation that's currently ongoing. As you go, even when you go for an inspection, you see other people building. So it's evident that something's actually happening here. Just on that road, you see the community high school. So it's not like the place is dead. These are things you should watch out for. Yes, there might be areas that all those things are not happening, like our property at Eche, Beulah Estate. There's no community school, but there's an army barracks that is happening at the junction that they are currently working on building at the junction. So there are signs you should look out for, and you see other real estate companies coming to that side. So there has to be a reason that they are going there. So, like I said before, always weigh the price against potential. So I have a question that I would like you to answer in the comment section. And that question, let me show it on my screen. Yes. What would you rather buy if you had 10 million naira? I'd like to know in the comment section. This is an interactive session, yeah? So if you had 10 million naira, would you buy a cheap plot far from town or a costlier property in a fast developing area? I would like to know. A cheap plot, like let me say the plot is 1 million and you now buy 10 plots, but it's in nowhere. Or you buy something that's about 5 million naira close to town. I would like to know in the comment section. Am I receiving any comments? Comment. The question is, which would you rather buy if you had 10 million naira? A cheap plot far from civilization that costs like 1 million naira, or a slightly costlier property, let's say 5 million naira, but the chances of development are very fast. Very fast. B. That's amazing. B. That's the wise choice. So that's the wise choice to make. So even if it's 200,000, weigh your options, weigh the potential before you invest in it. So we're going to be moving on to you can add your reasons. So all of you that are saying B, what are your reasons? But you should know because I've explained everything already. Yeah. So now let's move on to the next mistake that people tend to make when buying properties. I'm trying to find the banner so that I'll just perfect. And that mistake is ignoring ownership and security. This third point is very personal to me because it's a like it's a mistake that sometimes you won't see coming. And this mistake has caused a lot of problems for people. Have people heard of a story or of situations when you buy land from, let's say, a family. Let me say you bought from the first son, and you are there thinking you're a landowner, only for maybe the second son to come and say, no, this is my father's land. He gave it to us. We have not shared it. How will this person come and sell it? Blah, 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 blah. Things like that happen. So one mistake people make is that they do not pay attention to ownership and security. So as a buyer, one thing you should have in mind or you should pay attention to is for you to confirm ownership from the start, because there are cases where people have paid for properties that are owned by or have been sold by like 3 times, have been sold almost 3 times. So they just keep reselling it to so you now come to your property one time or you come to the site one time and you see like four other people and you're like, what are you doing here? And you say, this is my property, I have the documents, this is my property. And then Kasala don't bust. So that is something you have to be very careful. Like for instance, there was a story my friend was telling me where somebody bought a property. No, they were actually having this issue in court, and the two parties had their receipts. This one had confirmed receipt from so and so. Another person had receipt from, and two of them were dragging for the land. So, how do you solve this issue? Remember, I said in this live stream, we will not just be telling you the problem, to be telling you how to solve it. I'll not just say, this is the problem, and then I'll not tell you what to do about it. So, one of the advice we give people here is there's something called the Ministry of Lands. Yes, you go to the Ministry of Lands and you verify who the real owner is. Even with developers, estates, you can go to the Ministry of Lands and then you will verify if somebody has said, we are Dolu properties and we own this property. You can go and verify, you can go and check. It's not so hard. Sometimes people don't want to go the extra mile, and that's what makes them to end up in shitty situations. So go and verify this land. Go and check who actually owns it. These people say that they own this property. Let me go and see whether they own it. I've heard people say that I can never buy from a family member or I cannot buy from family, but that should not be your case. You can actually buy from families. All you have to do is confirm. So, like I said, that's number 3 mistake. Buying without confirming ownership. And guys, let's not fall prey to that. You've worked so hard for your money. Ensure that before you put it into anybody's hands, you are getting your money back in form of the product you get. So another question, when buying land, do you prefer to deal directly with a family or individual or a real estate company? Yes, that's my question for you. And please give me your reasons. The other time you did not give me your reasons. You were just saying B, 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 B. So tell me, question: when buying land, do you prefer to deal directly with a family or individual? There are people that say that I don't trust real estate companies. I cannot buy from a real estate company. I'd rather go to the family that owns the land. Yes, I will not buy from an Igbo man in Port Harcourt that is in a real estate company. Let me go to the real owners of the land. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section what you think about that and what option you will go for. I'm clicking on the comments. Am I seeing anything? I'm waiting for your responses so before we move on to the next mistake that people make. A real estate company, because they help to sort out due diligence before purchasing the property. That's true. That's true. When you buy with a real estate company, you don't even hear things like all this matching ground money, settling the family real estate company. But those are, there are some places that if you go and buy properties, you have to keep goats. It might sound funny, but that's the truth. There are places you go to, and if you're buying directly from the family, not to say that you shouldn't buy from individuals, so you can, but just ensure that you have verified all that needs to be verified. But like I was saying, you have to keep good before you come to the property. And then there are some places that you would have a decent exchange with the person selling it. Nobody's scamming you, but then you go there and you now see thugs that will say things like, how can you that is not from our land come and buy our own father's land? So there are so many dicey situations. But for me, I always choose a real estate company because, like this person said, they will always handle all those things. Yes, they will help sort out due diligence before purchasing the property. That's true. Before they get that property, they've sorted out everything for you. So you're just coming as an Odogo or a Chalugo that you are and settling in your property. So let's move on to number four. Yes, number four mistake that people make. Oh, Jesus. This one, I don't know who to blame because it's very funny. And that mistake is paying and going silent. Do you know that there are people who buy properties and they've paid the money, they've paid their complete money, but then they vanish? It's not as if the real estate company scam them, oh. They just disappear. They call you to come and take your documents, or they don't call you at all, and you are not bothered. You don't reach out, you don't go to the office and say, what's happening concerning my documents? What's this? What's that? Nobody hears from you. You just go radio silent. And then you come back later and somebody, if it's a wicked real estate company, you come back later and somebody's already building on your property, which is crazy. But who would you blame? Who would you blame? Especially if you are dealing with a real estate company that is, or an individual who is not trustworthy, they'll just think you're not serious. So I always advise that when you buy a property, even if it's so trustworthy real estate company, ensure that you follow through with the process. Okay, you've paid your money, go for your documents. If there are any details they need, fill the forms, get everything that you need to get to ensure that okay, true, everything concerning this property has been handed over to me. You get? So ensure that you go for the allocation. There are some people that will get their documents, they will not go through it, they will not read it. The day for allocation, they are not interested. Sounds funny, but that's the truth. It happens. Day for the allocation, they are nowhere to be found. You know, it's weird though. Have people heard of stories like that? And that's not good unless you pluck that money from the tree. If you did not, you should be bothered that, this is my property. What's happening about it? And this thing goes both ways. Sometimes you buy from a real estate company or an individual and they themselves go silent. I understand that sometimes you might be the one pushing and then the person that sold to you is not reciprocating rather. Some real estate companies or some individuals that are not trustworthy they will never have an allocation. You just know that your property is somewhere. You don't know the exact property. You don't know the plot that has your name written on it. So that's not good. You should always follow through. Follow through. Know which belongs to you. That's the number four mistake that people make. You get, like at Oakridge City, that was in April that we did our allocation, and the second one is coming up. The second, everybody has their allocation later. As you are coming down from the bus or whatever you're coming down from, you are taking fight to your plot. Sir, ma, this square like this belongs to you. So that even if those people are not there, you have your documents and you can walk ahead straight. Do not be so nonchalant and you don't care about anything. So before we move on, or rather, if you understand everything we have done so far, please, I would like to know, or I'd like to see you say something in the comment section so that I know that everybody's following through. And remember, if you have any questions, feel free to ask those questions. If you understand what I've been saying so far, please kindly respond so that I'll move on to the final one. The final one. You understand what I've been saying? Please respond. I understand. I understand. You understand. Okay. One more person and then we'll move on. Mm, I also like to know if you've ever had trouble collecting your documents. Yeah, from maybe you have a story. Okay, well understood. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. All right. Without further ado, this is already 31 minutes gone. We're supposed to end earlier. All right. The fifth mistake that people tend to make, and this one, many of us are many of us are guilty, and that is thinking short term. Number five, thinking short term. Mistake number five. So the thing is that many people, you one of the benefits of or one of the pros of buying properties that you're always told that you get your return on investment, you can sell back later and get back your money. So everybody, when someone is buying a property, they think that they are coming and then they'll put 1 million naira and the money will double and then they'll come back and take it, which is true. But like I always say, patience is key. One of the mistakes that investors tend to make a lot is thinking short term. You want to buy land today and sell it tomorrow. Okay, not tomorrow, you want to sell it next year. Pardon me. And you think that that property would have tripled, and when it hasn't, you get angry. I always say land investment or land banking, like land banking is an investment. It's not gambling. You are not putting in money to see whether it's not bet Niger. In the long run, it can serve as that, but for the time being, it's not. Think about areas like Eneka. Eneka is so hot now. Eneka, Igrita. Before that, Igrita road was just like Port Harcourt Express Road leading to Aba. It was not a big deal as at then. But people who saw into it and then they bought properties in that area and held on to it for a while. Now they are smiling because to get a property there is quite expensive. So there are so many places like that that are now booming, their value is rising. But it's all about patience, patience, timing. There's always one thing I say: don't buy where everybody's rushing now. Mm-mm. Oh God, people are moving here. Jesus, let's buy. No, you should buy where people will be rushing later. That's the goal. Because when people are rushing to that place later on, you'll be getting much more money because everything would have gone up in value as at then, but the money you spent to get it would not have been as much. Let's use Oakridge City as an example. I noticed that I've used Oakridge City a lot today. Oakridge City as an example. Currently, it's going for 3 million naira, and if all things being equal, it's going to be the first resort in the city of Port Harcourt. Now, we're not talking about just a residential area, but tourism, relaxation. So, people who live there have a two-in-one package. You have comfort, um, you have a resort to you. You just on your back for your backyard. There's a resort waiting for you. And all it cost them to get that plot was 3 million naira. Now, how much do you think someone that wants to sell that plot they got when all these things have been achieved will sell that property? If you're the one, I have a question. Please answer in the comment section. If you bought Oakridge City today and then in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years, it's finally a resort, the resort we're all envisioning, how much will you sell it? I'd like to know in the comment section. Me, I was no 15 million K. It's too small. It's too small. I will add a lot of money. So you see, these are the things you should look out for. So, like I said, number one, who will answer in the comment section? Number one. I'm trying to find a banner that has all of them so that I will just, okay, I can't find it. So the first mistake I said was paying without proper verification. That was the first mistake. And then the second one Yes, the first one was paying without verification. Yes. Second one was choosing cheap over strategic. Yes, I said that. Choosing cheap over strategic. And the third one, ignoring ownership and security. And then the fourth one was paying and going silent. And then lastly, thinking short term. So with all these things, if you do what's proper, I think that you put all these into consideration, then you make the right choices for yourself and for your money. Remember that when it comes to real estate, it's not about how fast you buy. It's about how well you buy. So before you make your next move, before you pay in that money, you should ask yourself, am I buying with sense or am I buying under pressure? That's the question you should ask yourself. This thing I'm making, is it my emotions that are pushing me to just buy, buy, buy? Or am I actually doing the right thing? So I'd like to thank each and every one of you. Thank you for staying with me for this live session. I'm very grateful. Thank you. And I hope that you got something home from this session today. And please, if you found today's session valuable, if you think that knowledge was passed, which was valuable, I'd like you to subscribe to our channel. This is our first live, but we're going to be going live every month to share basic knowledge or things that we think that you need to know. So just click on the link in the description box if you want to ask any questions or you want to book a free inspection. Our number is there because I think we'll be ending this live very soon. But in the comment section, you can ask your questions and I'll be happy to answer. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all for doing this with me. God bless. Ah, this was say 50 million. Yes, so 50 million. Yes, so thank you so much. Bye.